Mahal ba talaga ang annulment sa Pilipinas? Ending a marriage in the Philippines is a complex journey. And honestly, it's one of the hardest things a person can go through. It isn't just an emotional transition, it's a massive legal undertaking involving property, inheritance, and your future security. Because divorce isn't an option for most of us, it's easy to feel stuck or overwhelmed. My goal in this video is to help you navigate these laws and give you hope that there is always a way through. You might have heard about annulment. It's everywhere, from TV dramas to celebrity headlines. Annulment has carried with it a connotation of being expensive or pang-artista lang. That's what the media has been feeding us ever since. But is it really that? While it may be reasonable to believe that it's costly due to its nature and requirements, annulment actually is the most efficient legal remedy if we have to go consider its effects. It's the case that allows you to legally end your marriage, so you're no longer bound to a relationship that exists only on paper. Cut off conjugal property ties, so you can protect your assets, divide what needs to be divided, and regain control of your financial future. Remove your spouse as your legal heir, so your estate goes to the people you truly want to benefit, like your children or family, instead of someone you've long been separated from. And custody rights, so you do not have to file a separate petition to settle this issue. Think of annulment as a complete resolution. Instead of filing multiple cases of separation of property, legal separation, child support, or custody, or spending years in legal limbo, annulment gives you clarity, freedom from the marriage ties, freedom from property obligations, freedom from unwanted inheritance claims, and peace of mind about the welfare of your children. It is thorough. So in this video, we'll break down exactly why annulment is the most complete way to move forward in the Philippines. By the end, you'll understand not just the process and the cost, but the practical benefits that make annulment, or declaration of nullity of marriage, the choice for many Filipinos who want to start afresh. First, let's define what is annulment. Annulment, or declaration of nullity of marriage, is a court process that declares a marriage void from the very beginning. In simple terms, it's as if the marriage never legally existed at all. That's a powerful distinction because while many people think annulment is just another form of separation, it actually goes much deeper. It reminds me of the movie Can't Help Falling in Love, where Gab and Dos made several attempts to annul the marriage, but complications keep getting in their way. But unlike the movie, in reality, many broken marriages are never fixed. And yes, that's why people need real lawyers, not like that Attorney Langit from the film. Sorry, attorney. Anyway, unlike divorce, which is not yet available in the Philippines except for Muslim marriages under special law, annulment doesn't just cut ties between spouses. Divorce recognizes that a marriage was valid but later ended. Annulment, or declaration of nullity, on the other hand, says that the marriage was flawed from the start and therefore should be deemed invalid. Now, what are the grounds for annulment, or declaration of nullity of marriage? The law provides several, including psychological incapacity, where one spouse is unable to fulfill the essential obligations of marriage; fraud, such as hiding a serious condition or misrepresenting identity; lack of parental consent, if one party was too young to marry without approval; and other grounds like force, intimidation, or incapacity to consent. Each of these grounds point to the idea that the marriage was defective from day one. That's why annulment, or declaration of nullity of marriage, is unique. It doesn't just separate spouses physically, it erases the marriage legally. Once granted, it's as if the marriage has dissolved in the eyes of the law. That is the key difference. Annulment doesn't leave you half-married or stuck in limbo. It gives you a clean slate. And that clean slate is what makes annulment such an important remedy for Filipinos who want to move forward with their lives. Why annulment is the most efficient case? When people think about ending a marriage in the Philippines, they often confuse annulment with other remedies. Let's clear that up. First, legal separation. This process ends cohabitation. You and your spouse can live apart, and the court may even decide on custody and support. But here's the catch. The marriage bond itself remains. You're still legally married, which means you cannot remarry. So while you may be physically separated, the law still ties you together legally. Next, recognition of foreign divorce. Unfortunately, this case is only available to those who have already obtained a valid foreign divorce abroad. This can be a cheaper path, but it is only cheap if you're already there. Otherwise, the direct local route is your most efficient way to reach a clean break. Cheap, yes, but not locally available to all. Recognition of foreign divorce can seem cheaper because it skips the expert witness phase entirely, but it is only viable if you are married to a foreigner or you yourself have foreign citizenship. Once you factor in the thousands of dollars spent on foreign counsel and residency requirements, that cheap foreign divorce can itself be extremely costly. Let's talk about annulment. While many think annulment is a financial nightmare, the law has evolved. Thanks to recent Supreme Court rulings, a clinical psychological evaluation is no longer a mandatory requirement to prove psychological incapacity. This makes annulment a more direct and localized undertaking. For most Filipinos living locally, a modern annulment or declaration of nullity is now a more streamlined and practical path to a true clean break. Think of annulment as a full solution. You file one case and you get 4 results. 1, freedom from the marriage, freedom from property obligations, freedom from inheritance claims, and settled child custody and support issues. That's why annulment is considered the least expensive option. Instead of filing multiple cases or staying stuck in a halfway solution, like legal separation, annulment gives you a clean break. Imagine this scenario. You've been separated for years, living your own life, but legally your spouse can still inherit from you or claim rights over your property that you worked hard to acquire. With annulment, those ties are cut once and for all. It's not just about ending a relationship. It's about protecting your future. Now, how does annulment affect conjugal property? In Philippine law, marriage doesn't just unite two people emotionally, it also unites them legally and financially. By default, most marriages here fall under either the absolute community of property or the conjugal partnership of gains. What does that mean? It means that everything you acquire during the marriage, whether it's a house, a car, or even savings in the bank, becomes part of a shared pool. Kahit utang can itself have conjugal property implications. Now, here's where annulment becomes powerful. Once annulment is granted, it automatically triggers the liquidation of conjugal property. This is a legal process where the court supervises the division of assets and settlement of debts. In other words, annulment doesn't just end the marriage bond, it also untangles the financial ties that come with it. This means 3 important things. Assets are divided according to law. The court ensures that property acquired during marriage is fairly distributed. Debts are settled. Obligations incurred during the marriage are accounted for and resolved. Each spouse regains control of their own future earnings and acquisitions. From that point forward, what you earn, save, or buy belongs solely to you. Imagine this scenario. You bought a house during your marriage. Without annulment, that house remains tied to your spouse, even if you've been separated for years. You can't fully claim independence because the law still recognizes that conjugal tie. But with annulment, the conjugal property is dissolved. The house is liquidated, divided, and you finally move forward independently. Think of annulment as cutting the financial cord. It doesn't just give you personal freedom, it gives you economic freedom. You're no longer bound to share every peso earned or every debt incurred. You can build your own future, secure your own assets, and protect your financial stability without worrying about a spouse you're no longer with. That's why annulment is such a practical remedy. It doesn't just end the relationship. It ends the financial entanglement that can hold you back for years. Does annulment also stop your estranged spouse from inheriting your property? The short answer is yes. Under the Civil Code of the Philippines, your spouse is considered a compulsory heir. That means if you remain legally married, your spouse automatically inherits from you when you pass away. It may not matter if you've been separated for years, living completely different lives, or even if you haven't spoken in decades. The law still recognizes that marital bond. Now, this can create serious problems. Imagine working hard your entire life to build your estate, your home, your savings, your business, and then realizing that because you never legally ended the marriage, your estranged spouse has a legal claim to it. Even if your true intention is to leave everything to your children, your parents, or other loved ones, the law will still reserve a portion for your spouse. This is where the dissolution of marriage becomes crucial. Once annulment is granted, the marriage is treated as if it did not exist. Because the marriage is erased legally, your spouse loses the right to inherit from you. That legal tie is cut permanently. The result? Your estate is protected. Your assets go exactly where you want them to go, whether that's to your children, your parents, or any chosen heirs. Annulment gives you control over your legacy. Think of it this way. Without annulment, even if you've been separated for decades, your spouse can still inherit from you. With it, that risk disappears. Your estate goes where you truly want it to, and your hard-earned assets are secured for the people who matter most to you. Would annulment also settle the child custody and support issue? Yes. An annulment case in the Philippines is designed to be a full solution for untangling your life. Under the law, the court doesn't just look at the marriage itself, it is required to resolve what happens to the children and the property as part of the same proceedings. When you file a petition for annulment or nullity, you include ancillary prayers. This means the judge will also issue a decree of absolute nullity or annulment that specifically outlines child custody, who the children will live with, visitation rights, when and how the other parent can see them, child support, the exact monthly amount the non-custodial parent must pay. While the annulment settles the initial support amount, child support in the Philippines is provisional. This means it can be increased if the child's needs grow, e.g. higher tuition. It can be decreased if the parent's income significantly drops. Unlike the marriage itself, support orders can be adjusted even years after the annulment is finished. So by the time you receive your final decree, you won't just have your freedom. You'll have a court-ordered plan that protects your children's rights and clarifies exactly what everyone's responsibilities are moving forward. So how much really is annulment then? In 2026, the cost of a marriage dissolution in the Philippines, whether it's an annulment or declaration of nullity, is best viewed as a significant financial project, but because there is no flat rate set by the government, the price varies. Here are the key factors that will determine the costs. The location of the court. Legal fees often follow the cost of living. Filing a case in Metro Manila, Cebu, or Davao usually involves higher professional fees compared to provincial courts. Furthermore, if your lawyer has to travel from one city to another for hearings, you will be responsible for their travel and lodging expenses. 2. The ground for the petition. What is the reason for the split? Some grounds are simpler to prove than others. Psychological incapacity, while the Tan-Andal ruling means a psychologist isn't always mandatory, proving gravity and incurability through multiple witnesses can still increase the complexity and duration of the case. Fraud or force, these may require different types of evidence or documentation, which can affect the lawyer's workload. 3. The prayers involved. In legal terms, a prayer is what you are asking the judge to give you. The more you ask, the more work is required. Are you just asking for the marriage to be dissolved? Are you also praying for sole custody of the children? Are you asking for a specific amount of monthly support? Every additional prayer adds a layer of evidence and negotiation to the trial. 4. Properties and assets. If there are houses, cars, or businesses to be divided, the cost will rise. The court charges docket fees based on the total value of the properties involved in the case. If the assets are significant, the filing fees alone can easily reach tens of thousands of pesos or more. 5. The respondent's address, the service factor. The court must serve the petition to your spouse. If it's a local address, if they live in the same city, it's simple enough. If it's a provincial address, you will pay for the sheriff's travel expenses to deliver the summons. If it's a foreign address, this is where it gets expensive. If your estranged spouse is abroad, you may have to pay for service via publication, which can cost 20,000 to 40,000 pesos in a newspaper, or shoulder international service fees to ensure the court has jurisdiction. Conclusion. To recap, annulment is the most complete way to end a marriage between Filipinos in the Philippines. It doesn't just free you personally, it also dissolves conjugal property, giving you financial independence, and it removes your spouse as a compulsory heir, protecting your estate for the people who truly matter to you. You might call it the reset button. Annulment doesn't just leave you half married or stuck in limbo. It gives you a clean slate. It's about reclaiming your freedom, securing your assets, ensuring your legacy goes exactly where you want it to, while putting into consideration the best interest of your children. So if you've been wondering whether annulment is worth pursuing, remember, one case, 4 results. Freedom from marriage, freedom from property obligations, freedom from unwanted inheritance claims, and settled child custody and support issues. That's why so many Filipinos see annulment as the most practical way forward. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs clarity on annulment. Legal knowledge is power, and by sharing, might just help someone make one of the most important decisions of their life. You can consult us for advice tailored to your situation. Every case is unique, and professional guidance ensures you take the right steps for your future. Thank you for watching. For more legal tips, follow FCB Law Office, and I'll see you in the next video.